thank you enough. But I do want to recognize my family, my friends, my fire company. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here on this day. I'll be honest with you, I had no idea that would be what was going to happen today. So I said, well, my friend said, well, normally I wear just the usual clothes, but my friend said, you ought to put on a suit because they're going to honor you. You stand up and look like something, so stand up here looking dumb. So I pulled my suit out of the closet, so I'm here. My life at 107 was one of the most exciting times of my life. And that's why we're so proud of it, because with the thread that was going to get torn down and our history would be gone. That's all we have. I was born in the year 1930 in Washington, D.C., and spent 6 years in Maryland. And my family decided to move to Delaware. They didn't ask me, would it be all right if we go or whatever. They just told me to get in the car. And we landed in Hockessin. And that's where my career at 107 began. I was in the second grade. The 107C, for those who don't know, and don't forget that C, because I was told there's the 107 in Dover somewhere for white kids. So you see, if you don't put that C in it, they won't know what you're talking about. So don't you forget that C. And I walked in that school. It was one room with 6 grades and one teacher. I've been asked so many times, how did one teacher control 25 or 30 kids? Now, this is no disrespect to any parents in here, but let me tell you something. We were controlled before we left home. My mother was a little short lady. And for some reason, when my mother got, I only lived 10 minutes from the school, and for some reason, when my mother got upset, she would kind of walk sideways. If my mother walked through that door, walking sideways and looking for me, I would say, Lord, if you want me to live just a little bit longer, you better freeze her before she gets to me. Because she wasn't looking for the teacher, because she had told me what to do, what not to do. It was an exciting time, though. But people say, well, how did you do your work? She always had, we had about 6 big blackboards on the walls that you go up and do your work. And or you'd be reading from a composition book or one of the books that we were given. And she may give you an assignment of reading 2 pages. I'll just say page 4 and 5 for an argument. I would get mad. I'm smart. I can read all the things they give me. But I would read page 4, and when I turn to page 5, it might not be there. Because you see, we never got new books. We got the old books from the white school up on the hill. And they used back in that time to put your name in the back of the book on that little white label. Sometimes be more names in the book than be pages for us to read. But we made it. We were given pencils. Sometimes pencils didn't have erasers on them. And I believe to the day that Mrs. Bojan bought some of the supplies that we had out of her own salary. Now, Mrs. Bojan, I like to talk about her, fancy lady, dressed real nice. She drove, for you guys who know automobile, and ladies too, she drove a fancy car. Drove a Packard. You drove a Packard, you was in high class, and she drove a Packard. And we admire her so much. I'm not gonna keep you too long. I could talk to you all day about my 107. When we used to have banquets and get together, and that's when we could reminisce, talk about the things that we enjoyed other than the beatings we used to get. But anyway, we like to talk about what we had to do as activity. Everything we did, we had to make. It wasn't given anything. And we would always talk about this one Christmas play that we had. We had to make everything. Mrs. Bojan, I'll never forget it, she brought in a great big piece of cardboard, and we made a fireplace. She put a string across. She bought sheets from her bed, I guess, made curtains for our Christmas play. She picked one of the boys, a boy named Charles Dobson, because we all had nicknames, and his name was Bubby. Bubby was going to be the Santa Claus. Our parents were there that night. We were all excited. We're going to show our parents how great we can be. Bubby's job was to get up on a ladder. Get up on a ladder with his bag of toys, ho, 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 jump down the fireplace. Merry Christmas. Well, you know what happened. I think Bubby got 2 hoes out. On the third, when he fell off the ladder, tore down the curtain, dropped the toys, everybody laughed. I don't think Miss Beaujean laughed. I don't think she was too happy. But see, these are the things that are so dear to us. And these are the things we thought we were going to lose. We really did. And I'm almost finished, because I can stay here till tomorrow. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the Brown versus Boyd educational thing and the Bueller family. They were very instrumental in us into the DSEG. Little Shirley Bueller and the Bueller family lived about 2 miles from the school. If anybody know where Lantana Square is, that's where they lived. They're a little small farm out there. Had some cows and horses, and they had a goat. I know they had a goat because we was out there playing one day, me and my buddy, teasing the goat, and he outran me, so the goat caught up with me and butted me, so I know they had a goat. But anyway, she had a chicken business, had a lot of eggs and things. And Mrs. Bueller was the second wife of Mr. Bueller, so she was relatively new. But the bus came right by her door, and right by our school, up to the white school. And all she wanted was to stop, put my little girl, Shirley was 7, 8 years old, put my little girl on the bus, throw her off at the school and keep going. No bus for colored kids. But she was determined. She got together with Lawyer Reddy and all, that's all story, you all know that story. But the important part of this thing was what Mrs. Bueller, I call her the tennis ball. You know what a tennis ball, you slap back and forth? Well, Hockessin was small at that time, so everybody knew everybody's business. She come in and stirred up a lot of trouble. A lot of people got mad. White people got mad because they didn't want their little colored child on the bus with them. Colored people got mad because you brand new in the neighborhood, starting up a lot of trouble. She had a big booming egg business. That fell off. Wasn't selling eggs. Chickens got mad, quit laying eggs, said, we ain't laying no more eggs. You started the trouble, you laid the egg. Nothing. No. But anyway, she was determined to get a lot for her child. I lie a lot too, don't I? But anyway, get a lot for her child. And that was the Brown versus Boyd educational thing. So I could stand here and talk to you for everybody. I do appreciate everything that's being done for me today. I appreciate you taking time out and coming. As I look and see some of the people, one boy I like to knock out, he's given me a hard time all his life. But this means a lot for this day. In the meantime, when you want to come out, come see our school. Come see our history. Call me up, I'll let you in. He don't know, I got a key, he don't know. And I'll let you in and let you see our history. In the meantime, take care of yourself. God bless you.